because when you're small, the excellence can be considered accidental, but when you're growing, excellence has to be designed. It's not about the creator. It's more about your distribution capability. And you have to stay close to the roots of what you're building. That's the only way your direction stays clear. How soon are you able to take these products to the market? We need to remember that real work is actually in the boring stuff. I don't think there's a sweet spot at all.
Welcome to The Business Game, the show that breaks business down into real levels, from $0 to $200 billion, so founders can see exactly where they are and what comes next. Today's guest is playing at level 5, the organiser stage. At this level, you're no longer managing individuals, you're building an organisation. The challenges? Hiring true executives, strengthening governance, and coordinating multiple teams at scale. The goal? Build an executive-led company that grows without relying on you.
Let's dive in with Yega Kumarappan. So first of all, Yega, software as a service, or SaaS as it's known, it can be a little bit confusing for people who aren't really in the know. So could you tell our listeners exactly what SaaS is and what Paperflite does?
Absolutely, James. I mean, SaaS, I know you mentioned it could be confusing, but to us, SaaS is just a billing model. I mean, you've got a lot of products in the market, like say Adobe or a Microsoft or a Salesforce or a Zoho. All of these are SaaS products. I mean, it's just a model where your customers they don't buy the entire software product from you in bulk as code, but they just take this up as a service that they pay for, and by doing this, you're able to convert the spend from capex into opex from a financial standpoint. So otherwise, if you take that layer off, it is still a product, a technology application that is solving a real world problem that you're paying for. So I always tend to decouple this whole financial model that is layered on top of the application in itself. So SaaS is basically a recurring billing model. Now the other question you had was what do we do at Paperflite? Paperflite right now is a suite of agentic products that help sales reps close deals faster. And what I mean by that is we have a bunch of agentic products that actually help and guide the sales reps through the process of, right from when a prospect is identified. Let's say we start with prospect intelligence, which is helping them with every information about who you're going to have a conversation with, which organization, what's the background about the stakeholders in the conversation as a prospect in itself, and that's prospect intelligence. And then we get into content intelligence, into the life cycle, where we help the reps with information about the kind of products. It's kind of a little bit of a matchmaking process, if you will, between the products and the sales rep and the buyer in itself, helping them understand what could this buyer really be interested in, what kind of conversations would you want to have. It helps them have a very effective back and forth conversation in the sales process, and it's very, very critical because that's the first stage. That's your first impact that you create with the buyer in itself. And then we get into conversation intelligence, which is we start tracking every single conversation, every single email, every single a video call or even in-person conversations in some cases, and we're able to offer intelligence around how did this conversation go, what went well, what did not go okay. What should we address? Like, do you think there's something that we should train the sales rep on in terms of product knowledge, or is it some kind of soft skill, which is like, would you want to train the sales rep on objection handling or on price negotiation? So any of that. So we're able to assess the conversation in itself. So we're connected with the email platforms, the online, the video calling platforms, and all of that. Now, if you look at the whole spectrum of what we've covered from prospect intelligence to the content to conversation and all of that, you put all of this together, we're able to provide overall deal intelligence as to how is this deal even progressing? Are we heading in the right direction? Do we have the for a deal of certain size in this region, in this industry, are we progressing in the right direction? Or is there anything else that we could do to kind of course correct the deal's direction in itself? So we're able to predict what's the confidence level of this deal. So that's your deal intelligence. And now this is the overall life cycle of the sales rep from a prospect into a buyer being converted into a customer. And what happens in the periphery around this whole life cycle is contextual coaching. So so our platforms are able to figure out how the rep is performing, what should the rep be prepped up with. It could be specific training on product information, could be specific coaching on how to approach a buyer of a certain category. And this kind of helps them. It's contextual coaching, and it's live coaching, and it's continuous. So it helps the rep perform better and better and better. So you see a feedback loop out there as to you have your engagement with the buyer, and while this conversation goes through the life cycle, you're continuously being trained to perform better. The entire deal is being tracked to make sure the deal heads in the right direction. So there's so much of work that's happening throughout the life cycle of the deal in itself. So that's a bunch of agentic products that we have. It's a suite that helps sales reps convert deals faster. That's what we do.
Yeah. All right, cool. Just about Paperflite, tell us a little bit about your journey in starting the company.
We started Paperflite, like say 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It actually all started with a venture that I was heading at Cognizant, and this was a funded venture directly under the then CEO Frank's office. We actually built a platform which was a model to tap into like the 300,000 odd employees that Cognizant had globally. So it was more like a private crowdsourcing platform, very new, way ahead of its time. And it was we'd work with some of the marquee logos, like say the Disney or the Nike. I mean, for example, if we were to evaluate the performance of Nike's fuel bans back then, so we had to really test it out with long distance run athletes and all of that, and in different conditions. And at the same time, we wanted this to be crowd tested, but it's not something that we could do public. So it's contained, and it's within a specific workforce, and we are able to test out every possible extreme conditions, long distance, a lot of sweat in a humid environment, in a dry environment, and all of that. So this is a platform which would help us source long distance runners from within the organization to test these products before they hit the market. So the platform was very new, and so there was a lot of awareness work that was involved, a lot of video, a lot of brochures and marketing material that we had to put together, a lot of case studies, really interesting ones, beautiful stories. And we had one of the best design teams with us. So we put all of these collateral together, and we were trying to distribute this to our own marketing teams, to our customers, and to the rest of the world. And we figured out that the products that were available to actually distribute this content didn't really do justice to how good the content was being built. We did pick up a few products from the market. We customized them so much that they didn't even look like themselves. The product was completely out of shape, but it still didn't serve what we were looking for. So that was kind of a known problem that we had back then. We had looked into the market in its entirety. We knew a solution like this did not exist. So that was the start of it. That a problem like this exists in the B2B space, for how content is being hosted, is being distributed, how is it being tracked for performance, and all of that. But then I switched into heading technology prototyping for Cognizant again back in New York, and we got to work with some of the best brands, and this is specifically technology that is yet to come. So we were prototyping 5 years ahead of our time, 10 years ahead of our time, the tech that we would see in self-driving cars and the likes of sort. So that gave us the combination of these actually gave us this whole confidence about building something that's very futuristic, but at the same time a problem that we were very familiar with. And this was the founding team is a team that we had worked together as part of the venture in itself. So we know each other really well. We know our strengths. We know who's the CEO, who heads our sales and marketing functions, and Anant is our CTO. He actually owns a few patents on behalf of Cognizant as well. So this is this is the team that got together to building this product in the first place. And the problem that we started off was with content being hosted, distributed, and tracked for performance. So marketers really understand what kind of content is actually working with their buyers, and what should they make more of, what should they not make more of type. So that was our start.
Yega, people will hear a content intelligence platform and would assume like a really sleek SaaS story. But as we all know as business people, we all have bottlenecks that we've got to get through. So in your current level now with Paperflite, what was one of these biggest bottlenecks that you had?
Slick SaaS story. Okay, I don't know if I have a slick SaaS story, but we have a SaaSy application though that I can tell you because when we started Paperflite, our inspiration was actually Netflix. Netflix was kind of new at that time, and everybody was because we were kind of transitioning from a hard disk full of movies, or maybe a folder somewhere online which has got like a bunch of TV shows and movies that we would share types. The whole interface of Netflix was kind of was heating up back then, and our application was called out as really SaaSy because we would our interface was really close to Netflix in terms of how we had streams of content and it had all these sections about stuff that you frequently use, the content that you usually distribute, the content that gets the maximum traction, and all of this was customized for every sales rep. So you kind of when you log into the platform, you'd really see a Netflix-like interface with content that you frequently use, or the content that really works well for you of sorts. So that's the that I think that was a SaaSy start. And then I know you mentioned bottlenecks.
Oh, let's go. There's an and then.
Yeah. Yeah, what's coming next, right? And
what's
then,
the and then?
Yeah. So the bottleneck part of it was actually if it was even possible to keep delivering that same level of obsessive finesse that we had at scale. So that was a bottleneck because we went heavy on design. We were design first. We were experience first because all tech was actually transitioning from pure tech into there was so much of value for the experience in itself, both from B2C standpoint, and B2B was slowly transitioning into that space. So there's so much of finesse that went into designing every click, every transition. And the bottleneck, or rather I would say the challenge was is it even possible to keep up that level of finesse? Because when you're small, the excellence can be considered accidental on one side, and also it could be because you have better control because it's a smaller team. You can you can figure out what's working, what's not, fix them up, and you could still deliver. But when you're growing, excellence has to be designed. So that it is a challenge, and things have to work very different from how it used to be. So the challenge was really bringing people together who cared about like fine work the same way we did. So it's not like you just ship it, but you ship it like you're really proud about it. So that I think was the challenge that we had to get through.
Yeah. So on those sort of pain points, can we just dive into that a little bit more, Yega? So what was the moment you realized that growth, it really wasn't being limited by the product or the tech anymore, but by how the company itself was operating?
Uh, I mean, tech is especially right now. Tech is never the limiting factor. Tech is not a limiting factor at this point in time. There's actually this really beautiful essay was written by Dario Amodei, who's actually the founder of Claude himself, really popular at this point in time. The essay is called Machines of Loving Grace. And he talks about how, at this point in time, for how tech is actually evolved right now, the limiting factor is actually going to be everything around tech. I mean, tech is fast. Tech is you can deliver anything. I mean, what used to be rather we're actually at a point where what humankind would actually see in the next 50 to 100 years, we are actually compressing all of that into the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to see all of that change happening. In which case, tech is not going to be the limiting factor. Everything around it, which includes, like, say, the distribution of tech, the application of tech, or in industries where the tech is actually being applied, the ability for them to move as fast as the tech in itself. That is going to be the limiting factor. I mean, that's a broader brush, James. But if you look at Paperflite in itself, limiting factor. I think at some point we will have to switch from a general solution like everything for everybody into something very specific to industry. So verticalization, and how do we identify these verticals? How do we identify these specific industries and build for these industries? And how many of these industries can we go really deep into? That, I think, is the limiting factor, because tech is available. The general problem solution is actually available, but it's a depth that is lacking, and that's exactly what we're working on into specific industries. Go deeper into what's their sales process, what kind of products, because regulations are very different in the finance industry versus the healthcare versus life sciences. The processes are different, the workflows are different. How you sell is very different. So our limiting factor at this point, I think, is how quickly can we understand every single vertical, and how do we figure out where do we start and where do we go deeper into.
So I think systems adjusting as you scale is a critical piece of the puzzle for most businesses, and I think all businesses would agree that the scale puzzle, it's a beast to organise, right? What is something at the moment with the level that you're currently in that you're looking at going, okay, this is breaking or could break, and how will you get over that?
Honestly, nothing is breaking, which is actually scarier.
It's coming.
It is scarier. Yeah. But I think for us, from as we scale, what should actually change is I think leaders' mindsets has to change, because the workflows are actually changing, especially with the kind of tech that we're seeing with AI picking up. The life cycles of every function is not the same. They don't look the same anymore. So we need to change the work. We need to change work structure. We need to change the workflow. We actually need new frameworks of work. So that's the change that I think we need to see. The faster we are able to adapt to all of this, the better.
So can I dig a bit more into that?
Yeah.
So when you started Paperflite, you would have had this is our vision, this is our path forward. And we just discussed where tech is now. What worked then isn't going to work going forward. What's one of those things now that we can, with the introduction of AI and it being so heavily used.
Yeah.
How are you having to pivot from that original thought process and your path for Paperflite to where you think it's going to go to now?
Yeah. With so much of change in tech, uh, the there was this whole transition uh, from products being built into what was called the creator economy, and we were talking about like the single founder billionaires and all of that coming up. All because tech is actually making things easier. So I can actually build any product that's already in the market in a day or two types. That's all it takes with with the amount of AI support that we have right now. But then what we're seeing, that was the excitement about the fact that creators can build all these applications, build solutions, and uh, and and, and you're going to be successful. But what has actually changed immediately after, really quick, is the fact that the same technology, the support, the capability that I'm talking about is available to everybody. So if everyone is capable of building these products and solutions that you're talking about in days time, so what makes that difference? What we see here is that switch from what you called a creator's economy like a few months ago, and now we're talking about it's not about the creator, it's more about your distribution capability. It's what's called AI. It's what's called the diffusion capability. How soon are you able to take these products to the market? Because anything that you build already had a really short shelf life, but that shelf life that you're talking about is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So what you build, the sooner you're able to hit the market, the sooner you're able to flood the market, or the maximum number of hands that you're able to take this tech into decides how successful or how big you can be. Because otherwise, you're going to be perennially building something or the other. You're never going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The only way is how distribution is changing. So to your question, what's changing for us also is not just about the feature or the capability. We look at the two sides. I know we talked about verticalization on one end because the AI is a generalist, and AI can give you a generic opinion, and that's available to everybody in the market at this point in time. So for us, the two sides are how deep can we solve this problem. So it goes back to our understanding. There's a lot of user research or industry research that we're working on at this point in time. That's the depth of what we do. And our focus is in terms of expanding our distribution channels, because we know the problem exists, the solution works. We just need to we would possibly get a little more deeper than what we are. And while we are in that path, we will focus on expanding our distribution capability. So that's the change in direction that we see from when we started, where we were like completely entirely focused on building on the product, on features and stuff, and solving the problem, versus right now it's about building these solutions can be really, really fast. So now, how deep can we go in terms of solving these problems? How deep is our understanding with these industries, and how closely can we work with them, and how can we expand the distribution channels per se?
Right. I want to put you on the spot a little bit here, Yega, because a lot of what in this,
like you have not already.
A little warning,
warning
there. Like,
yeah.
Because one of the really important points or parts of learning from this show is that when founders talk through problems, and as we see it all the time, founders are talking or always working through their next problem. It's kind of a business thing, right? So putting you on the spot, what problem are you working through right now at Paperflite as it scales, and maybe on a macro level and a day-to-day level?
I think macro level, it is it's actually the change with AI. It's absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
It's about how are we preparing ourselves for the longer journey. How
Yes.
equipped are you with respect to familiarity with this tech, the direction in which this tech is heading towards?
Hmm.
I'd still say that's the macro level problem that we're
Yeah.
working on. And that kind of leads into the day-to-day work as well, which is what I was talking about. Changes in workflows. Like for example, um, if you take a product manager today, does user research. There's these product requirement documentation that they work on, and then there is acceptance criteria that they work on, and then there is some level of wireframes design, and then is when it lands into the engineering team to build anything. But what's
Yeah.
happening now is this whole process that I just described is completely compressed because product managers
Yes.
today build
Yes.
build working prototypes. It addresses everything, and you could go backward from that. If you want to derive requirements out of it, you want to derive some level of design needs out of it.
Hmm.
All of that is possible, and you don't walk into a meeting with documentation anymore. You walk into something that's working, that's clickable, that everybody is able to experience and understand what do we have to build. So that
Mm.
entire workflow has changed. So day to day is about adapting to all of this, and it's very important because as much as the future is still a little fuzzy in terms of how or where this technology is taking us to, but it doesn't give us an option to wait and learn like the earlier technologies where we still
Yes.
had that freedom. We still had that comfort of,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, blockchain is new. I'm going to give it like a couple of months and then figure out, and then I'm going to learn this. I'm going to get into it. If it's that window is really really narrow. So we have to be on top of everything that's happening, and and trust me, it's a lot every day when you wake up. There's
Yeah.
so much that has already happened.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to catch up, but it's not an option. For us, the day-to-day work is to stay on top of everything that's happening and build on top of that. It is challenging. It's hard, but
Yeah.
we still do it.
It's almost like as soon as you get ahead, you're already behind, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It
Yes,
does feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Paperflite is so very close to jumping up to what we refer to as level
Level six.
six,
Yeah.
that next
Yeah.
bracket up. Is your plan there to continue to scale to each level and go up and up and up, or do you have an aim to get to a sweet spot and stay there? And if you are going to scale up and continue from where you are now to that next level, is there something that's stopping you from getting into that next level at the moment that you may need to change or tweak?
My personal opinion, I don't think it's an option I don't think there's a sweet spot at all, especially
I agree.
in any of these industries at this point in time, because you either grow or you shut down or sorts. It
Yeah.
is scary, but that is how it is.
Yeah.
You have to scale. It's not an option. You cannot stagnate at any point. Now, when it comes to scaling, like I said, one thing that is very critical for us in deciding our path forward would be it's not about building a lot of features. It's not about building new code, because that is uh, it's not expensive for anybody to build new code at this point in time. So it's easy, and you can build a lot of features. So it is definitely not about building these features. Neither it is about it's about hiring a lot of people. It is not about hiring a lot of people. It is we're not at a space where if I have a lot of extra hands, and that's considered growth. The number of people or employees that doesn't count as growth either. Only thing that counts as growth is how are you progressing in terms of your depth, in terms of how you solve the problem, and and it goes back to the distribution capacity. So how many, when you build something, when you solve a problem, how quickly can you land the problem in the right hands, in as many hands as possible. So the count is actually on the other side as to how many users do I have, how many of them are solving their problems using what I've built, versus it's not about how much of what I built, not about how many people worked on building the solution. So that's the difference as we scale.
Testing, 1, 2,
Two.
hello?
Are we on?
Are we on? Hello?
Hey, folks. Let's take a quick pause to talk about our friends at HubSpot. If you've ever felt like running marketing, sales, and customer service all at once is, well, a little chaotic, HubSpot is here to change that.
It's an all-in-one CRM platform that actually works the way you think. From generating leads to automating follow-ups to helping your team stay aligned. Personally, I love how the automation tools handle the busy work so you can focus on the bigger strategy.
And here's the best part. You can start your HubSpot journey for free using the link in the description. And while you're at it, you're helping to support this podcast.
HubSpot isn't just a tool. It's like having a full team in one platform, helping you grow your business faster and smarter.
Alrighty, it's back to today's episode. All right, little personal question again, not too personal, however, but as Paperflite has scaled, what did you have to personally stop doing as the founder to embark on that scale journey?
What I had to stop doing. I mean, it's again a very hard question, because as founders, you don't get to stop doing anything. It's not good. You will have to do everything that you did on day one. It's about how long are you able to do, I guess. But from a scale standpoint, it is very important that we empower the teams that work with us to take over some of those larger initiatives, and giving them that freedom within a larger boundary is something that we had to start doing, and what we had to stop was try and not be involved in every pixel, every fine detail of sorts. It is hard to stop, but that's again not an option. We have to stop, and we have to start having the teams deliver. We have to start having these functions work on models that they are familiar with, they're confident about. I think that's very important for us to scale properly.
At what point in that scaling and that growth was it that you went, okay, it's time for me to, I guess, not step back, but to be like, okay, teams, you have got this, and let the teams go ahead with it? Or have you still got? No, you can't still have the reins on everything. You're too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually tried stepping back completely once. Like we tried stepping back completely once. It lasted, but not very long.
What happened?
Yeah,
well, I mean, you don't have to go into the deep and dark side of it, but what was that pivotal moment where you were like, okay, I need to go back in?
We tried, but I think like I said, I mean, at that point you still you just change altitude, and there is a point when you look at how directionally everything is moving, and there is a point where you call saying, I think we need to get back. I mean, well, I know we'd have to we have to stay a little far, but not too far. So too far is not good. So what we learned is, for founders, you don't disappear. You just have to change altitude, but not too far either. So slowly, and you have to stay close to the roots of what you're building. That's the only way your direction stays clear. and you're able to apply the guardrails for the teams to function. I mean, they don't magically scale themselves. They scale they'll
Yes.
have to scale with context, and that's I think that's a constant founder's job to make sure
Yeah.
the context is always set as we scale. That's our learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, have you got that right, or is that a continual rebalancing and
Yeah.
recalibration kind of thing?
It is continuous. It is continuous,
Yeah.
and the reason is that at different stages of scale, it might be the same problem, but the solutions are slightly different. What you need to focus on also keeps changing as you scale. So I think it's a continuous rebalancing of letting go, coming back, and you just have to make sure the pendulum swing is not too far. As long as it is short,
Yes.
I think you're stable, you're good. You just don't have to swing it too far off, and then the swing on the other side is too far off again. So we don't want to do that. So it's so you need to be constantly reminded of how big a change are you making because of the scale, and make sure it is slow and steady, and we've seen that works, but it is constant though.
I'm interested in that leadership question then, and I guess how has your leadership changed from the early days to? Were you going to ask that? Were you?
I was,
You were?
to what it is now.
Yeah, like that leadership journey for you personally. Because I was going to say, obviously you're a different leader then, but maybe you're not. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that, so people who are scaling, can understand some of those. I
The
guess,
evolution of leading.
Scaling leadership. So I mean, it's my only thing is from a leadership standpoint, buy-in from your team is very very important.
Mm-hmm.
And as a leader, and when you bring in some level of governance, and you need to make sure governance really feels like liberation and not control. Governance should actually help ease work. It should help ease the rest of your functions achieve what they're supposed to achieve, and it shouldn't come across as control, and that's not great. I mean, there are different leadership styles, like I said. In some cases, it's very autocratic. It is. In some cases, it's very democratic. But for us, it was really about making sure the teams feel that their life is made easier because we are involved, and not in terms of exercising control. So as leaders, as you evolve, you will see this more and more. Always keep this in mind that at any point in time when you onboard, when you scale your teams, it's very important that the teams feel good working with you, and the fact that you're able to show them success, and that's important for them to believe in the leadership, believe in the team, and execute on what your vision is. That's very important. The belief is important, so we need to gain that belief, and as you scale, it happens at multiple levels. For us, I mean, fortunately, our employee churn rates are really low, which means we're able to hold on to the culture that we built and pass this on into the teams that are joining us at a later stage. So kind of the entire work culture, the entire meaning, the purpose, the why we are building something, and what we stand for, what our priorities are, kind of sticks with the team. So it's important that you build a framework which is also capable of being passed across as you onboard newer functions, newer teams into your organization.
I've got a bit of an emotional question for you, and I feel like a lot of founders, right from the startup, right through to wherever, would go through this sort of emotional feeling. But once you've got your team, so you're currently in level 5, and you've got your team of people that are looking at you, how do you deal with the knowledge that other people are relying on your decisions for their income and their stability within their work?
Yeah. Yeah, the pressure of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it kind of
Can you put I guess like blinkers on and be like, okay, this is a business and we've got to make the good, the bad, and the in between decisions as business owners, or how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the good and the bad and those decisions and having to go to your staff?
I think it's it is an emotional question because especially as founders, I mean, there's a difference between a leader in a corporate environment. There's a difference when you operate in a much larger structure as a leader versus a founder in a startup, because the organization that you've built in itself, it is personal, and the bunch of people, everybody who pretty much the founding team in itself, you're very emotionally connected with them. They believed in you when they started working with you.
That's exactly
So
right.
so you owe it to them in all different facets. But at the same time, as you grow, you're also responsible for the rest of the organization. Um, I think uh, I think it's that the balance is really really important, and how you treat your founding team, irrespective of everybody goes through ups and downs. Like you said, there are phases where somebody performs at their best, they're at their peak, and then you might be going through a hard time, and you might not be performing as much, and there are phases. So you need to make sure you give them that level of flexibility, and you're very accommodative. But at the same time, yes, you need to be conscious. So it's a very tough call. I mean, it's very it depends. It is. I've not used the word depends yet, so it really depends in this case, because
It does, yeah.
depending on who you're dealing with, and all of that. But the fact that you asked me this question, I feel for us to be conscious about this balance is very important, because that's what keeps you grounded. That's what keeps you humane. It always
Yeah.
it kind of always keeps us on check. Every decision that you take, you need to make sure it is calculated, and it's not some wild experiment that I'm doing, because it's going to cost a lot. So you're responsible, and it makes you human, makes you grounded, and I think the feeling is important, but the call that you take, it really depends, and yeah, it's a tough balance.
Do you have like a little a mantra or a habit or something that you do to keep yourself grounded, like when you feel in those moments? Do you do something that's like, okay, I've got to get back zen, like I've
like
got
a
to
meditation or something?
I know
or,
a lot of founders will do a bit of meditation, or I play
Yeah.
Sudoku, and it just, what
I
do you
mean,
do?
I actually meditate every day, so that's a different part of
Oh, you
the.
do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's a
That's just your
practice.
day-to-day life.
I don't think I would have survived so far otherwise. I don't know if I were to draw a parallel with your question versus meditation in itself. Does that mean we go through this situation that you described a whole lot more? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's not a I we we do keep reminded of our past, and where we started, and how small we were, and the number of people who had actually helped us get here,
Yeah.
the path to where we are, and I think the 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 advisory board that we have with us, the kind of initial sponsors, or rather the funding that we got, the board from there. Fortunately, we actually have some really, really humble personalities in there who keep us reminded of this is what it takes. Like, I mean, just to quote an example, um, Lakshmi, who's a founder of Cognizant, and I'm talking about like a $25 billion organization, is one of our investors, and and we get to meet with him, have these conversations, and the kind of words and for how he works with us. That's they're all like absolute constant reminders of who you should be. So I think it's very important. I think how you choose your board, how you choose your advisors, how you choose your investors. It's very important because at points of crossroads, at times of need, these are people who you look up to for advice, for direction, at scale at that point in time. And so it's very, very important to choose who they are.
Yeah. Just on that governance issue, because you're at level 5 now, and as you scale, you get bigger, that governance becomes really, really important. So can you talk us through, I guess, almost some tips, I think, about, how you mentioned how to choose the board and those sorts of things. What advice, having gone through that process, what advice would you have for listeners?
Governance is something that we also see changing with generations right now. The same old style of governance that I'm possibly used to doesn't work at all. So we're kind of constantly learning what kind of governance actually works at this point in time. I think what the entire organization with the current generation expects is a lot of freedom within boundaries. So you can set a larger boundary. You can set some guardrails, and then you give them the freedom to operate. And I've actually been surprised with the kind of output that these teams are able to bring out, because their thought processes are a lot more radical, new, and the way they solve problems is very different from how process oriented we used to work. So that shift is something that we're clearly seeing in terms of governance. So generally, gentle tightening with processes might not be the best thing. It depends on the industry that you're working on, but especially if you're in the product space, in technology, it's very, very important that you give them the freedom to operate within a certain set of guardrails.
Yeah. And just on board members and so forth, are there any red flags for, when people considering, building their board and so forth? Are there things, gee, I wouldn't do that because that person has exhibited this or doesn't do that? Are there some red flags?
I wouldn't call red flags. I think if we can look for or rather give more importance to the green flags, actually, because the strengths matter more.
Yes.
The frequency at which these advisors operate is very important. You should be able to. It's not. I mean, I'd say don't go for the. It's not about the brand that they come from. It's not about the role that they play somewhere. It's not about. It's more about what they've seen and done. It's their journey that matters, and if that journey resonates with you, if that's the journey that you would also want to take, something very similar to that. That's a huge green flag right there, and your ability to communicate free, like it cannot be a transactional conversation. We do a lot of transactional conversations all through our life within the organization and outside the organization. So when you look up to a board or the advisory group, and this has to be a panel that you could have a really free conversation with, which means you should be able to relate to their journey. That's really, really, really important. And this is very adjacent, but it also brings up the value chain, the value system of these members versus your value system. As long as all of that resonates, I think you're on the right track. So red flags, I'm sure. I mean, there's always an up and good and bad about every individual. I'd focus more on the strength in itself, because that's exactly what you would want to derive from the board or from your investors. And we should stay. I really think we should stay focused on that.
Yeah.
For somebody that's running a SaaS company, say 2 or 3 years behind where you currently are, what is a cheat code that you could give them to help them along the way?
A cheat code.
Yeah.
I'd
What's like a,
Yeah, shortcuts. Come on,
Yeah,
give us the juicy stuff. How do we get there faster, easier, quicker?
learn by your mistakes or
So I'd say the what I I know we talked about somebody who's 2 or 3 years behind us, but a lot has changed in that 2 or 3 years. So what we learned in the
a
two
good
three
point.
years
that is a
might
very
even
good
be
That's a
point.
good
Of course,
point.
like
Yeah,
AI and
that's a
tech.
good point. Yeah.
exactly because when we were growing, I mean it was all about how different is your product, how strong is your product, because product had a
Yeah.
much more decent shelf life, and it was also about the first question I used to get asked was, how big is your team, how many locations do you operate out of, how big is your product, versus I don't think for any of these organizations that are growing now, I'd say it's not about a larger team, but it's
Yeah.
definitely about the quality of the team. So you focus on making sure you have a really concentrated team of high performers who are able to deliver, and this team is not uh, is not because these are people who have accomplished, who have delivered something in their past. This should be a team which is hungry, which is aspirational. So that hunger, the fire in the belly, is very 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 important, because you're expected to scale really fast with a smaller team. That is a model, and if that's a model, then the team that you're working with should be a high performing team, and and it's very critical as to how do you find this group of people. So that to me at this point in time, what you would really focus, if you're say 2 3 years behind us, is one part is how do you scale the team, how do you have a high performing team, and at the same time, how do you focus on the distribution channels? And it's not it's how are you going to work with partners, how are you going to work with different channels of distribution, how creative can you get with how you're landing your product. I actually wanted to quote something. I mean, I don't know if you've read about this, but Meta apparently bought, like, say, uh, a 3% stake in this company called Luxottica, and I don't know if you how many of us know Luxottica, but Luxottica is the single largest distributor of eyewear across the globe. Um, but if you look at it slightly one step away, the strategy here was, my me partnering with Luxottica is to ensure that when I have my eyewear tech ready, I'd be able to distribute this into the market like pretty immediately, because Luxottica has like some 17,000 stores across the world, and they control 95% of the market. So what happens here is, I know Meta is building eyewear, and I know everybody is building eyewear. There's so many of these products in specifically in the eyewear space, but now you see the advantage that Meta's got, because when I have my hardware ready, it kind of hits the stores across the world in no time. And even if any other brand is building this, and even if the product is better than what Meta's got, the problem they are dealing with at this point in time is Meta is already in the hands of everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not about what you build. It's about how strong is your partner network, how strong is your distribution network, how strong are you, or how quickly are you able to land what you're building into the hands of everybody. So I'd say focus on the team and building that super strong distribution muscle, and that is what is scale.
Yeah, we're almost out of time, yeah. We've got a couple of quick questions though. I guess number one, I mean, you've created fairly good bit of success in life and in business. But I'm interested, we often learn more from things when they don't go right as opposed to the success that we create. What's a big mistake that you made or nearly made that you've learned a lot from?
A big mistake.
Vulnerable moment here. No?
Yeah.
We can get some
Yeah.
good background music going
Yeah.
to help.
Yeah. Yeah, cue the music. Cue the music.
Should
Some
I?
good
should-
thinking music.
Should I stay? Should I not? I think.
Vulnerable share coming up.
Yeah. I think it was. I know we talked a little bit about this before, but I really feel like some of those decisions, like at some point we felt like we we've scaled large enough, or rather we've grown large enough that we should possibly take a step back and have the teams run by themselves. So there was kind of a overconfidence moment, I would say. But it actually costed us quite a bit, and then when we had to step in, there was quite some stuff for us to fix, and it took us a little bit of time. So I mean, I know I shared that as one of our learning as well. Is and you're never too big for anything. You're never too big to roll up your sleeves and get to the ground. Even a brief moment of that feeling could actually cost you a lot. So it's a that was it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Just so I guess it's the next question is on the same lines almost. So, what do founders who are at level 4, what do they completely underestimate? Do you think about what is waiting for them at the next stage or the next
that's
level?
a good one.
Yeah. It's going to be easy. We'll just scale. We'll just grow. Like, what are some of the hidden things?
Yeah, the hidden. Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
What happens at that point is you do get carried away by the product in itself, by the solutions that you build. You get excited about, hey, there's AI. I'm going to fill this. I'm going to get this new capability built. There's a lot of shiny objects. And there's a lot of instant gratification that you get by building these capabilities also. But one thing that I would say is at that stage, we need to remember that real work is actually in the boring stuff. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. You don't get to read about it. What you get to see is only the most interesting stories, the heroic moments, the shiny objects, and all of that.
Not the grind.
Yeah, but I think everybody fails to realize that it is really just the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much of failures and boring work, I'd say, monotonous work that actually goes under it.
Yes.
That you fail to recognize. So what happens is because you follow that shiny object, that story, you do get burnt out pretty fast as well, because you take that path and then immediately you realize that it's not yielding the output that you actually thought it would. And it kind of end up in a burnout. You don't have the energy to continue. So my only thought will be that keep that in mind so that nobody gets burnt out, and please don't shy away from the boring work, because the boring work is where the real problem is where the real money is where the real output is, and then you will have a time when you can tell your story the way you want, the shiniest story possible, but that boring work is what will take you there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Right now, what is the biggest game you're actually playing? Is it growth, resilience, or longevity?
I'd say longevity is actually questionable. Longevity is really questionable because I know we touched upon this as well. I mean, shelf life is really short. You can build a product similar to any product that you're working with, like in 5 minutes. It's possible, and what we need to keep in mind is everyone can as well. It's a level playing field for everybody, so everybody can build. in 5 minutes. But it's about how fast you grow. It's about how much muscle you have in terms of distributing. So resilience is important, and growth is critical. There's the growth at this point in time. Growth is longevity. As long as you grow, you exist. So that's how I'd look at it.
All right, time for rapid round.
It is.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've been going pretty easy on you with these questions
absolutely,
up to this point. Now, we've got some real hard-hitting stuff coming your way.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Okay, I'll try.
Do you want a sweatband or anything?
Yeah. No music this time, right? It's just straight into it.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Yega, one of the things we like to do is to get to know the person behind the microphone a little bit. So we're going to fire 10 questions at you really quickly. You ready to go?
Okay. Fire.
All right, Jamie, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Do you want to lead off?
Oh, yeah,
okay,
I do.
go.
Okay, Android or iPhone?
iPhone. I'm
What's
an
your
Apple.
coffee
I'm an
order?
Apple fanboy. Sorry.
Oh, no. Well, what's your coffee order?
Cappuccino, oat milk, and 1 pump of hazelnut syrup.
Office or work from home?
Office. Office. Yes.
What was your first job?
My first job was a programmer. I was writing code.
Oh, straight into it. One piece of tech you couldn't live without?
I'm sorry. One piece of what?
One piece of tech.
One piece of tech. I mean, it's my phone, obviously.
100% always an
Yeah,
answer.
it almost always is, right? Yeah.
At this point, it does everything for me.
Yeah. Are you an early riser or a night owl?
Early riser now, yes.
Your go-to productivity hack?
Clean up my calendars once in a while.
Mm-hmm. The best investment you've ever made?
My time building Paperflite.
Mm-hmm. What's your book or a podcast recommendation?
Book, I'd actually recommend the Sapiens. Yuval Noah Harari. It kind of takes you back, but it puts the foundation really strong. And podcast. I mean, there's this podcast series with A16Z. Both Ben and Mark. They run the podcast, and I think it's very informative.
Okay.
All right. If you weren't doing what you do now, what career would you choose?
I'd possibly be a designer. I love industrial design, so physical products design. So I think so.
All
right. That completes the real hard questions.
Thank you. That wasn't. Thank you for actually being accommodative. I think it wasn't too hard. So yeah. Thank you.
All right, we do have one more question for you, Yega. So if business truly is a game, Yega Kumarappan, how do you define winning?
I think winning is a freedom to work on and build what you believe in. That freedom for you to hold on to that freedom is really winning.
All right, fantastic. Yega, thanks so much for joining us
Great
and sharing.
answer, by the way.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah, sharing your wisdom. Like those little nuggets like that have been great. So thank you very much. Where can people find you online?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
All right.
Beautiful. We'll have the links down below for everybody to click straight on through to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
All righty. That's all we have time for. So if this episode resonated with you, follow the business game on your platform of choice so you'll keep hearing more episodes like this.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.